Hello and welcome to my episode on navigating hardships. In this age of great awakening, it is our calling to open our mind's eye, our heart center, and our soul's journey and get serious about what we are here to do. How many more opportunities will we have to fulfill our soul's mission? And if we don't get things right in this life, by continuing to run from our problems, will we get the chance to redo and make up for this era that we're in right now? What we are experiencing on a global and even cosmic level feels really big, right? It feels exciting, but it also feels a little bit terrifying too. We are each already challenged with our individual lives, and now the collective fate too has come into perspective. The one thing that we all agree upon is that change is upon us. The question is, do we continue on as is and wait to see what happens? Or is the point to do our work before it all happens? At a time of mass disclosure, everyone's eyes will be thrust open, and as we come to see each next thing, our chances of discovering the truth, learning our lessons, and improving ourselves on our own are taken away. We want the veils to lift so everyone knows the truth, but have we considered what opportunities also lift when the truth is known? Now, many people believe that life is happening for us or even by us, but not to us. And therefore, it is not about waiting for things to be revealed so everyone can be saved. It is about awakening and transforming ourselves during our darkest days when we are put to the ultimate test. These are the times when the opportunities for growth go exponential if we are dedicated to our daily integration process. Obtaining wisdom and truth, finding peace and harmony, and transcending suffering is earned as far as I can tell. It is not about waiting for the perfect system to be created and handed over to the people to end suffering. It is about taking advantage of this time of crisis where hardships are just pouring out our ears. It is about transforming every piece of darkness that we see in the world within ourselves. Our bodies can transform darkness, but we have to look within to find where it lurks. This episode will explore how hardships specifically can help us to cultivate truth, goodness, and wholeness within ourselves before all the veils are lifted for us. There is a difference between cultivating truth on our own and being handed the truth. Once a person learns the truth, they change by association and not necessarily because they have unburdened and healed their heart. Hardships are actually very valuable. All the challenges leading up to any great epiphany or awakening signal where your wounds and burdens are. Any place that gets stopped up reveals where you are hung up. You just have to look within to find the truth. Hardships occur when you are not in your truth or not in your heart. So challenging times present great material to work with to clear and resolve whatever is blocking your true self. On a side note, your response matters. Once a hardship sets in, your power sits only in response to that matter. After onset, you can't stop the matter, but you can usually influence its direction and flow. How you respond in every moment informs your next moment, and it also impacts the surrounding environment. Response patterns create a reaction that calibrates a vibrational plane within the collective. In every moment, humans are emitting a vibrational response pulse out into the ether. This electromagnetic wave is conscious and it's in motion, and its direction runs in parallel to its level of viscosity. A heavier wave runs at a lower vibration. A lighter wave runs at a higher vibration. So what makes a wave heavier or lighter, and why does this matter? Every thought, behavior, and response has energy. Every scenario and interaction has energy. The quality of response, pulses and impulses, determine the density of that wave. In every moment, humans are transmitting and receiving energy. a constant exchange of particles moving in and out. And this material is conscious and assimilates to the depth or height to which the particle waves are magnetized. Response patterns of a negative, selfish, or darker field become denser and collapse into a heavier and more chaotic wavelength. In a heavier, denser vibrational territory, there is more disorder, chaos, and crisis. And this is because the vibration is one that is traveled with fear, anger, greed, and disregard for others. So the same effect is reflected back through that vibrational landscape. In other words, you get back what you put out. In contrast, response patterns of a positive and harmonious field are lighter. There's less gravity, so to speak, hence becoming lighter and higher wavelengths. In higher vibrational territory, there is more clarity and visibility, space and freedom, and rewards because everything is not bumping into each other. This vibrational field is one that is traveled with sincerity, compassion, and foresight, and hence a person's life is going to be clearer, cleaner, and brighter. Tying all of this into today's topic, the importance of navigating hardships. Hardships are a part of the human experience, showing up at different degrees and frequencies throughout the days of our lives. And although hardships might seem like something that we want to avoid and run from, they are in fact our road to get back home. When we are in heavier, denser vibrations, this suggests that we are burdened with material of a heavier and denser quality. And in order to transform and transcend these darker layers of ourself that we came here with, we have to heal and dissolve and integrate each piece. This is how we awaken and fulfill our mission, is to work through each burden. Although there are probably many ways to do this, such as raising our awareness, healing our heart, and purifying our bodies. The nitty-gritty daily work underlying all of this is to embrace and to navigate mindfully our moment-to-moment tests and challenges. By mindfully greeting and navigating every hardship in life, we more likely extract the lesson and the gift from each experience and avoid having to repeat the same situation or risk creating more. So again, today's episode is about the significance of navigating hardships mindfully for growth. There is so much power in how we respond to hardships, and this is what defines us as humans, is how we respond to things. Challenging moments are in fact the building blocks for growth. Now, let's look at a definition. Hardships are moments, conditions, or experiences that are difficult to endure or bring an unfamiliar challenge with some degree of threat, fear, discomfort, and pain. Hardships come in the form of tests, trials, and tribulations, challenges, obstacles, and problems, disagreements, conflicts, and division, fears, frustrations, and emotions, breakdowns, setbacks, and collapses, cravings, temptations, and relapse, and all the inner and outer battles and crises we face. Now, there are predictable and unpredictable hardships. Predictable hardships are more like having to deal with the stress and pressures of daily life, meet standards and expectations, stay mentally and physically fit, get along with others, and maintain focus, direction, and purpose in life. Less predictable, but still common, are hardships like breakups or divorce, losing a job, house, or money, the suicide or passing of a loved one, accidents, injuries, illness, or disease, loss of mobility or functioning, being the victim of a crime or abuse, crimes against humanity, natural disasters, economic shifts, and acts of God. These are all things that we hope not to experience, but at the same time, we recognize that they can and do happen. Regardless of whether these hardships are mild or intense, or whether they are predictable or unpredictable, all hardship presents an opportunity. When we are able to face our tests and challenges with courage and fortitude, and we are able to transcend them through our own cultivation, these hardships become the road to recovery and ultimately the road back to the true self. Now, when it comes to navigating hardships mindfully, as is my usual disclaimer, you want to use your best judgment and your intuition based on the unique circumstances that you are facing in any given moment. With that being said, here is a general process for navigating hardship. Number 1, acknowledge and name the hardship in one sentence. Number 2, take time to center and ground before responding. You can do this through deep breaths, in upright posture, moving energy, connecting with the elements, nourishing yourself, talking to someone, and of course, meditating. Number 3, accept and embrace the hardship as an opportunity for learning and growth. You can do this by leaning into things and getting curious about what is surfacing. Number 4, observe the hardship and its cause and effect. What is attached to it? Describe what feels challenging and how you are being affected. Number 5, taking in all the data. What does this hardship say about you and things that you've been up to? What sits imbalanced, neglected, or unresolved? And what needs to change? Number 6, what kind of test are you facing? And have you faced this test before? Number 7, identify what you can do to positively influence things and to learn and grow yourself. And number 8, how will you know if you pass this test and hardship? What will have changed? To illustrate this process of navigating hardships mindfully for growth, let's take a look at 6 scenarios that many of us face in different ways. Hardship number 1, in a battle with yourself. When every day you want to choose right, but you end up choosing wrong. When you act against your better judgment. When you do things destructive to yourself or hurtful to others. When you want one thing, but you create another. And when you are in a conflict with yourself. This is a test of autonomy. The battle within yourself is perpetuated by addiction, relying on external things for sanity and peace, and losing control of yourself and autonomy of your sacred body. Dependence on external things for instant gratification overrides your instincts to care for yourself. Hence, one part of you is working against the better part of you. You are in a battle with yourself. Naming and reflecting on this hardship, you realize you are at odds with yourself and your addictive behaviors have come at the cost of your own autonomy. The same methods to soothe your inner conflict are creating your inner conflict. To navigate this hardship more mindfully, you ask for help in finding your way back to you. Transcending the battle within is a much longer process and it requires a lot of support because if you leave the planning up to you, you might just keep tricking yourself. This hardship also requires you to go up against your own inner mastermind. So you also look for ways to get out of your head, get centered in your heart, and grounded in your body. Next, hardship number 2, attacked by oppositional forces. When you feel knocked down at every turn, something is always going wrong and everything is out to get you. When you feel in constant conflict and at odds with the surrounding world, jaded, frustrated, and unable to rely on anything to go right. This is a test of character. Oppositional forces can show up as thoughts, emotions, desires, fears, addictions, toxicity, programming, authority, laws, debt, you name it. The more stuff that you allow into your mind and body and field, the more opposing and unwanted energies that you're likely to curate. Naming your cycle of doom helps you see what is working against you. Since you can't fight opposition with opposition, you strengthen your character, starting with discernment about what you allow into your space moving forward. You take note of many shields of protection in addition to discernment, such as non-attachment, morality, and integrity within yourself. Next, hardship number 3, cast in a mold. When you exist as a member of a society, industry, or group that you are conditioned by, and your title or affiliation to this group limits, confines, or controls you. What you say and how you respond or act is governed by your role so much that thinking for yourself, speaking your truth, and sharing your contrasting experience is frowned upon and scrutinized. This is a test of truth. Naming this hardship, you realize you've been suppressing your truth for a while and going along with things you don't agree. But now you see beyond the boundary of groupthink and your position has changed. If you don't speak your truth, then you're not going to feel in integrity with yourself. But if you do speak your truth, well, then you go against the grain and you risk being shut down or cast out. As a first step to navigating this hardship, you clarify your truth to yourself in the next controversial scenario. You take a deep breath and accept the position you're in and the challenge in handling it right. Then you identify what is the best way to live in alignment with your truth, at the same time supporting your current roles and position and meeting people where they are. Through reflection, you realize that this is a test of being in alignment with your truth, not pushing this truth on to others. Next, hardship number 4, disillusioned and detached. When you see the agenda and programming within a society and the ancient forces behind the curtain controlling human perception and behavior, and no one around you sees what's going on. Called to warn others, you tell everyone what you've discovered, but you overdo it and you push people away. People think that you've been brainwashed and they put up a wall. You cannot turn back though. You want to know the truth and keep digging. This leads to detachment and loneliness, on top of the shockingly indescribable, turning your world upside down feeling of disillusionment to begin with. This is a test of your vow. The journey of the true self is a solo journey of constantly awakening and not always on the same timeline or in the same ways as others. Naming the hardship of waking up alone helps you connect with your higher purpose. Rather than pushing the truth onto others for connection or just withdrawing, instead you consider your mission and your role in sitting with this information. How is it relevant and applicable to other people, for instance, and how are you best positioned to help other people based on what you've discovered? You also identify what you must cultivate within yourself to fulfill this mission. You acknowledge your mission and vow in life requires you to see beyond sometimes as you guide individuals from where they are. You know you are navigating this hardship well when you help others discover things for themselves. You also strengthen connections with those you can talk to. Next, hardship number 5, triggered and on edge. When your resilience and adaptability to go with the flow is really low and you feel triggered and agitated by most things. It's hard to be around anyone and you feel hypersensitive to sights, sounds, lights, smells, and any kind of stimulus. Worn out, it is difficult to hide your discomfort, leading you to become increasingly edgy and short in all interactions. This is a test of your strength. You are tested with your own inner discomfort and sometimes rage, and you are also challenged with the tension that has been created in your relationships. Naming and reflecting on this hardship, you see its unresolved effect on your life, and you consider that there might be some unresolved matters within your past. So the next time that you are triggered, you pay attention and you see that in your angst, you are projecting anger at others and low on compassion. Without compassion for yourself and for others, nothing can be resolved. So to integrate compassion into your life, you put your hand and your focus on your heart anytime that you feel triggered. And you also tell the people closest to you that you are working on patience and kindness and to hold you accountable to your healing process. And for the last example, hardship number 6, dreading the unknown. When the future feels very unpredictable and unstable, and you do not feel safe, prepared, or ready for the fearful events you dread could happen. It has become difficult for you to focus and function, carrying so much worry and feeling so much anxiety. When you panic and ruminate more than you prepare, and spend time flustered on lesser things, often creating more of a panic. when you are attached to learning every potential scenario that could happen, perpetuating your dread, forgetting to consider a best-case scenario, and forgoing your opportunity to transcend this fear. This is a test of faith. Faith draws your attention to the bigger picture and leads you to contemplate the value and purpose of hard times. Naming this hardship of paralyzing fear, you start a daily embodiment practice, and you choose courage to increase your tolerance for uncertainty. You explore what is behind the fear, making peace with any scenario, and you focus on what you can do now, unattached to what happens next. All right, I just shared 6 different scenarios of hardship that people face. Although every hardship may look different, many times, in fact, the same challenging events repeat themselves across all hardship. This means that we can actually learn how to face and navigate hardships to 1, prevent the cycles from repeating themselves by actually learning the lesson, 2, moving through hard times more efficiently, and 3, obtaining the blessing and gift, such as being able to help others. In addition to naming different types of hardships, I also shared a process for mindfully navigating hardships in the purpose for learning and growth. In short, just as I shared in the face of conflict last episode, you want to acknowledge and assess the situation, center and ground in your body, and then respond and resolve the matter at its core. As I just illustrated in the examples, takeaways for navigating hardships require you to take an honest look at yourself and your life. Ask for help as you take control of your life. Put up a shield of protection and discernment regarding who and what you get involved. Find your true voice and speak your truth in mindful and heart-centered ways. Discover meaning and a purpose through the journey. Heal your wounds and resolve your burdens. And to support all of this, strengthen your faith, resilience, and courage. To support your integration, what have you learned or what have you received from your last major hardship? And also, what could be on the horizon for any hardships that you're facing now? Next, I'm going to get into a series on the nature and the phenomena of addiction, discussing the spell that many people are under and how to break free of addiction on your own terms. That concludes this episode. Thank you for watching.